How the devil do I find out what my twin flame mission is? Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl. Welcome to Twin Flame Weekly, episode 17. We're talking about twin flame mission today, what it is, how you find it, and whether or not that involves a mission with your twin. So we're going to dig in. But before I do, if you've never met me before, I'm Cheryl Muir and I'm a catalyst for twin flame healing and ascension, healing the divine feminine heart, one twin flame at a time. I want to thank all of you for all your support, your lovely comments and likes and shares, tagging friends, sharing these videos with friends. It's incredible that you're doing that for your friends that are twins. It really helps them. I wish I'd had people who were doing that for me when I discovered that I was a twin, because that was a very interesting time for me. But nevertheless, one of the announcements I have for you today is that the Infinite Love membership experience is starting on August 15th. So this is my tribe of twinsies who really are your soul family. The energy in that group is very carefully curated. What do I mean by the energy is carefully curated? In other words, I don't let everyone in. I've been very, very conscious about the tribe I've been collecting there. And what that means is they become ultimately, it becomes a tribe of people who are your soul family. And I've had that experience of going to events and retreats where the person who has created that has ultimately attracted the same kind of people. And they say your vibe attracts your tribe, and you end up meeting your soul family. And it's really, really beautiful. And the women in Infinite Love are just incredible. The membership is for women at this point. I do have an idea to create a similar community for men. My work is going to be with the divine masculine as well in moving forward. But right now this community is women only. But guys, that does not mean you can't work with me one-on-one. I do have coaching sessions who are available for both divine feminines and divine masculines. So let's get started with today's video. I have to confess, I had some qualms about this video this morning, and while I'm feeling pretty good now, I did go out for a drive this morning. So as I'm filming this, it's Sunday. I typically film these videos on Sunday, both TFW and also Wise Wednesday meditations. I film them all on Sunday, sometimes Sunday morning, sometimes Sunday afternoon, and then edit them and get them all queued up for Monday and Wednesday. So Sunday morning, it is Sunday morning. It's about 11 in the morning. It's 11:15. It's not 11:11. We just missed it. I was probably speaking when it was 11:11. The little intro bit there. In any case, it was about 8:30 this morning. I needed some bits from the shop, so I went out. It was raining. You can probably tell, like, I'm not wearing my sundresses and sweating. It's about, I don't know, 15 degrees here probably. Very much jacket weather, which is perfect because I haven't worn this jacket in ages, so it makes me very happy. Anyway, so I was driving, and it's raining, and I went for a little drive around the country roads, and I knew I was going to do a video on twin flame mission work. And I was sort of chatting away to myself and spirit, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this energizing, uplifting video on twin flame mission and your purpose, which is like so juicy and so inspiring? How am I going to do that when I've got some pretty crazy shit happening in my life at the moment? And the biggest thing I felt and heard both intuitively and clairaudiently, if that's a word, it is now, what I really felt and heard was that I needed to be honest and tell the truth, which I always do anyway. But in this particular situation today, I wanted to come on here and, pretend that everything was juicy and fun when actually there's some weirdness going on. So there will be a lot of people out there who tell you that you can just buy some crystals and say some affirmations and you can poof manifest your dream life, like it will just fall down from the sky and appear in your lap like a purring kitten and everything will be magical. Now, if that was the case, we would all be doing it if it was easy. You will find some of your favorite spiritual teachers work a lot harder than you might imagine. And it's not because they're not telling you that, it's just that perhaps that's not part of their positioning or part of their brand. But believe me, anyone who is teaching in a really big way, people who you've read their books and you've been on been to their events, been to see them speak. Like, that doesn't just happen. That takes so much tenacity and so much hard work. And they've worked really, really hard. And when you step into this work, there are trials and tribulations along the way. This is not something where poof, it appears. It really doesn't. And when you step into your work that you're here to do, then you will come across these forks in the road, these challenges, these trials and tribulations, and it's not a sign from the universe that you're on the wrong path. I mean, sometimes it can be, and you need to use your own discernment about what's going on. But what happens is we're tested. I remember seeing an interview with Oprah and Elizabeth Gilbert, that's her name, big magic lady. And she was talking and she said, she talked about the road of trials. I thought, what is she talking about? This is 4 years ago I saw this interview. So I was 4 years into my journey, but I was only just stepping into teaching it. So I studied this shit for 4 years before I started teaching it. I've been studying it for 8 since 2010. So she said, when you step into the work you're here to do, then you'll enter the road of trials. And when you do, get ready. And Oprah was like, yeah, get ready. I thought, what are they talking about? Now I kind of know. I know what they were saying, get ready. So you will have some really interesting stuff come up on your journey. And we don't want to set the intention that crazy shit's going to happen, but it is pretty much inevitable that you are going to experience some challenges along the way, because we've all heard the phrase, it's preparing you to receive what you asked for, and it is. Now that sounds really lovely and woo-woo, but the reality is it can look really chaotic, and it can be really chaotic. I've just seen the most beautiful classic car driving down the street. I'm in the Lake District right now. You shouldn't probably tell, it's a different background. We might have this background a little bit more in the future, which is part of what's going on in my life right now. We'll get to that. But in any case, there's a classic car show going on down the road, and if it wasn't pissing down with rain, I would probably go. But yeah, I've been out once today and it's a bit chilly. I actually had to put a coat on, an actual coat, an actual Mac, a rain Mac. It's pretty chilly this morning, but it's not what we're talking about. So you'll find these challenges along the way that will really teach you a lot of lessons and will enable you to step into the person you're here to be. And on the other side of it is something really, really beautiful. It's a lot of strength. My best friend, Ruby Fremont, if you don't know Ruby, go follow her. She's a fucking badass. I love her to bits. Her handles are I am Ruby on social medias. Ruby Fremont, Fremon. Ruby, if you're watching, I love you. So go follow Ruby. Ruby has this model she calls CPR, and that's not cardiopulmonary resuscitation. That stands for courage, persistence, and resilience. And she teaches this. And she's got a brilliant course, by the way, called Unleashed and Apologetic. No, I'm not an affiliate, but I am her bestie. And it's a brilliant, brilliant experience that she's created. It's not just a course, it's something that is really transformative. So anyway, again, that's not what we're talking about. But she says there's these 3 pillars of courage, persistence, and resilience, which are the 3 things you need to really succeed. And boy, is she ever right. I mean, resilience is the one, to be honest with you, that I've had to work on. And lo and behold, I've had all this shit pop up. And it's interesting how the universe gives you exactly what you need, and it's not necessarily what you want. So I was like, I need to really increase my resilience, which is, as Ruby says, it's your bounce back factor. It's your ability to get back up after shit has hit the fan. So I needed to work on that. So of course the universe has given me some challenges my way, which are things like, and I'm just going to be really, really frank with you. There's a situation in my living environment in Reading, which is why I'm not there at the moment. My lease is up in October. They wanted me to stay. If you guys might have seen my Insta stories about that a while ago. I had some psychic information come through. I had a dream where I felt, gosh, my nose is itching. What does that mean? Something's coming through. I can smell something coming. I had this psychic dream where I extended my lease and I felt trapped. So I knew that was my sign to cancel my lease, even though they wanted to do me a really good deal to help me to stay. And I cancelled. And just a couple of weeks later, here I am, and I feel like I'm trapped in that lease because I can't get out of it till October. Fuck knows, I'm going to try. But ultimately, there's some stuff happening there. I have some great housemates, I have some beautiful neighbours, but I certainly, there's some things in that environment that are not, it's not appropriate for me to be there, let's put it that way. And so, in addition to that, there's been some things I've been dealing with this year. I have a family member who's had a terminal diagnosis, unfortunately, and that's been the case since spring of this year. So that's been sort of running in the background of my life as well. Not something I'd normally talk about, but for context, that's something that's going on. I've had some weirdness with old friends clearing out of my life. All of this is clearing space. I understand that. I posted about this extensively actually on my Facebook page, so if you haven't seen that, go check that out. You were all so sweet and so supportive. It really touched me, genuinely. It was so kind of you. People who I didn't even know were following me, you all came out and said the most beautiful things. And I realised how smart my tribe is, and I'm not surprised, but you're all so profound and so wise, and that's makes me feel a little bit emotional actually, so thank you for being in my audience. It really means a lot to me. Thank you. So yeah, I've had some weird experiences recently with people copying my shit, and that's been difficult. And then there's something else that happened this weekend, which I'm not going to talk about because the person that did it is watching my shit, and I don't want that person to get any attention from it because they, I'm not going to feed that. And I am going to create content around that because when something evokes an emotional reaction in me, what I do is I use that emotion and I turn it into art. That's what I do. That's what I do best. I'm a writer. My soul is a writer. There's so many lifetimes where I've been writing, it's untrue. And so I turn that into art and I turn that into content. So good will come of everything that's happening, particularly the thing that I haven't mentioned, but I'll be talking about it. But yeah, the reason I mentioned some of that stuff is because I never want you guys to get the impression that my life is perfect. You know, I rock up, my hair and makeup's done. I didn't look like this 30 minutes ago, by the way. You know, I've rocked up, I've put my nice leather jacket on, I look like something out of Greece, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's all shiny, I've got my lighting on, my microphone, everything. But the reality is, and I hope this doesn't come as a revelation to anyone, I'm not perfect, and my life isn't perfect. And sometimes when we look at people who do these kind of videos and we look at their Instagram, we make assumptions. And I've been around people who are quite prolific, quite well known on the socials, and I've seen them capturing these images in the moment. And it's not that, you know, they're inauthentic or anything like that, but like you see what it takes to capture a good shot, and you see that it's a moment in time that might take some time to set up, or it might be 10 seconds of, oh, can you just take a picture here? Okay, done, boom, done, right? Just because someone's taken that moment in time doesn't mean that their entire experience is glorious. I saw a quote on IG, and actually Ruby might have shared it. It said, nobody's grass is green all the time unless their grass is fake. And I'm like, boom, drop the mic. It's true. And I never want you guys to think that my experience is perfect. If we were meant to be having this perfect experience, we would be in the place where souls are made. We would be in the in-between worlds. We would be having this ethereal divine experience, and we're having a human experience. Our goal is not to be in unconditional love all the time. Our goal is not to be all love and light all the time. Our work is to be warriors and to call out injustice and to do healing work and to be strong as a motherfucker. It's not about being at such a high level of awareness where we lose touch with what's going on. I really have really garnered a lot of respect for Marianne Williamson recently. And I know she's not everyone's flavour of the month, she's not everyone's cup of tea, and I understand why that is. But for someone with her platform who's talked about love and A Course in Miracles, she could quite easily be, as the Katy Perry song says, she could be up in utopia, like just meditating on shit and just chilling out, but she's on her platform and she's calling out injustice politically. She actually ran for office, didn't she, in California some time ago. It will be really interesting if light workers start to get into office, and that will happen. That will start to transpire. There's a really beautiful, some really beautiful world leaders actually in power at the moment. Some countries not so much, but anyways. But our job is to really use our platform for good and to call out injustice, and Marianne Williamson does that. But the reason I say that is because, it's not our job to numb out. We can numb out with alcohol and drugs. Many of you will know because I spoke about this recently. I did that for a long time. We can numb out with more, dare I say, more everyday things. Like we can numb out with shopping. We can numb out with work and TV. How many times do we numb out with social media? In fact, I don't even know where my phone is. I'm on social media a lot less recently, and that is conscious. I don't need to be scrolling through every 2 seconds and taking in all the noise. What it does is it waters down my voice, and that's not going to serve anyone. We can numb out with social media. We can also numb out with crystals. We can numb out with using these ancient and sacred terms, and we can, get this massive hunk of rose quartz and start saying our affirmations and ignoring what's really going on, right? Polishing a turd. We've talked about polishing turds before. I'll continue to talk about polishing turds until there are no turds left to be polished. Always talking about turds. You guys still follow me. It's amazing. In fact, I've never had such an overwhelming positive response to anything I've done other than the turd comment. That was the mistake I've been making. Clearly, was I needed to talk about shit more. But anyway, that's not the point. The point I'm making is no one's experience is perfect. We're not here to be all love and light all the time. We're here to call out injustice and to really be a force for good. And the key word there is force. The key word, of course, is good as well, but the word is force, right? Forces are not gentle. We're not here to be passive. So I went on a million different tangents there, but all of that came through when I was driving this morning, and I'm really, really grateful. So thank you, Spirit, for allowing that to come through me in the same way that it did this morning. When you get an idea and you're like, am I going to be able to remember this in the same detail? And I did, so that's good. So the point I'm getting to is that as a twin flame, you have a mission here. What is that mission? This is a really long video already, and I'm not even into the topic. Oh my gosh. So what is twin flame mission work? It's the work you came here to do. Whatever is your biggest struggle, whatever is your deepest wound, whatever hurts the most is ultimately what you will end up teaching. That may sound a little bit counterintuitive. So for example, people who've known me for 10, 15 years might be like, that's no one said this, but just like in my head, I imagine there could be some people in my experience who've known me a long time and think, that's interesting. There may be people who knew me 15 years ago who knew me to be, crying over some guy or multiple guys where the guy was different, but my reaction was the same. Clue, I'm the common denominator there, and that's my shit, right? So, and I dealt with my shit and still continue to on a daily basis. So the point there is that someone could look at that and go, oh, I knew you when you were like 19 and you were, numbing out and you were drunk all the time and always crying over some guy. So how can you then be talking about women taking back their power and healing their hearts? Well, that's exactly why. Because that's what I've struggled with the most. Now I have a little bit more information. The work that I've done a lot of work, like you don't even know how much work there's been on this journey. It's immense and it continues and it's beautiful. But fuck, it's work. It is work. They don't call it doing the work for nothing, right? It's not because it's a picnic. But through working with many different people, and one of the people I talk about in addition to my friend Ruby is a lady called Danielle Page. Her handle's a healing Paige. That's Paige with an I, Paige. Go follow her. She's an absolutely miraculous, immense force of a woman. And she does many things, but she is proficient in the craft of astrology. And through working with her, what I've learned is what my work is in this lifetime. And when you can actually look at your birth chart, and I do hope to, get a certification in this at some point so I can actually read this for you. But in the meantime, go and see someone like Danielle, or just go and see Danielle. She's phenomenal. And she started doing single sessions again, which she may not do forever. So just go and book with her. So what she can do is actually look at your birth chart, and which is your soul map effectively, and see what your biggest wounds are. So where's your Chiron, right? Where's your deepest wounding? Where's your North Node? Where's your South Node? All of this stuff that I understand in my chart, but I can't pull up for you right now because it's not what I do. But when you can actually look at that and start to see how these patterns are playing out in your life, you go, oh, okay, I understand. So if you haven't worked with an astrologer who can read your soul map, that's one way you can find out what your mission is as a twin flame, because it's your deepest wounding. Your deepest wounding becomes your deepest work, and your deepest work becomes what you have such a bank of knowledge in. And when you have that bank of knowledge, you can turn it into lessons and break it down for other people, right? And so that's what you're here to teach. Now, if you're in the stage where you are in bed crying, or just generally in the state of the twin flame journey where it's dark night of the soul and it's healing and it's purging and it's ugly and messy, you know what, don't even worry about mission yet. Like it's not a rush, it's not a race. You'll get there. It's absolutely okay. You're doing great, by the way. You're doing really well. I know it doesn't feel like it, but just keep going, trust the process, trust me if you want to, I was there as recently as a year ago. And sometimes I get a bit self-conscious because it was only a year ago I was in my dark night of the soul. But I hope that it gives you hope that you can get through this within a reasonable time frame. Of course, everyone's different. Just because I got through it within a short time frame doesn't mean that your time frame will be the same. It could be that my healing was expedited because there had been so much that needed to be healed, and I was forced to really look at a lot of stuff I thought I had dealt with. And I think in a way it was probably expedited so I could teach it. So there's that. So this is not about comparing, but I hope that I can give you some perspective that it does get better and you do get through it. But if you're there now, don't worry about mission. Like, don't get caught up in it. It's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. But if you're coming out of it and you're starting to feel like the clouds lift, and it feels a little bit like stepping outside your front door on the first day of spring, or the first day of summer. First day of spring is probably more appropriate. And you step out and you breathe in, and you just feel this expansion and this newness coming in. That's what it feels like when you're coming out of that dark night of the soul. So if you're starting to emerge from that, just start to have a think about what has been my biggest lesson through all of this. Has it been to step into my power and not place my happiness in the hands of another person? Did I learn boundaries? Did I learn how to really love myself? Did I learn what not to accept from a partner? Did I have this massive awakening whereby I can now really tune into spirit and deliver messages? Do I want to work with the Twin Flame Collective? Or do I want to just work with women in general or men in general? Do I want to teach about love and dating? Or do I want to teach about the cosmos and spirituality? Do I want to teach on past lives or astrology or the soul and the growth and evolution of the soul? Do I want to teach on trauma that's very much rooted in this lifetime? Do I want to base that in science instead of spirituality? By the way, they're basically the same, but still, my point remains. Do I want to pick a number of those things and study them further and then teach on that, right? I'm throwing this all out there because this was part of my dialogue, and I hope that really helps you to see that you have this buffet of things that you've experienced that you can then pick a little bit of. Like, it's like a pick and mix. Do you guys have pick and mix where you are in the world? If you're English, you'll know what I'm talking about. Pick and mix is basically when you go into a candy shop. Now I have candy shop by 50 Cent in my head. That's not what we're talking about. He wasn't talking about sweets either. He was talking about something else. That's not the point. So you go into like a sweet shop, right? Candy shop. Have you got the song in your head now? Because I do. Anyway, so you go into a sweet shop and you get like like one of those shovel things. They're like a metal shovel, little scoop thing. And you put in like some of those chocolate covered button things. You put them in a little paper bag, and then you put some jelly beans in, and you put some, I don't know, chocolate covered raisins in, and you go, oh, I've got some sweets. I've just picked a mix. That's great. And you go to the counter and it's like £11, and you're like, oh, I spent £11, 11 English pounds on like 5 sweets. Anyone else have that experience with sweets? Anyway, point is, pick a mix. You're picking little bits of what you want, right? You create this kind of a la carte situation where you pick and choose what you want from what you've been through on your journey. And you might not be teaching the Twin Flame Collective. Not all Twin Flames are going to teach Twin Flames. If all Twin Flames teach Twin Flames, it's going to become very insular, and then we're only helping other Twin Flames, which isn't what we're here to do. Twins are really powerful, and we're all so different. So maybe there's a community that you feel really passionate about. Maybe your twin's part of that community. Maybe you will do this work together if you're in union, if you're in a relationship. Maybe there's work you will do together. If you look at some well-known twin flames, I've mentioned them before, but Beyonce and Jay-Z, right? They're twins, and look at the work they're doing collectively in their communities, the work that they're doing to break down the walls. The fact that Jay-Z is talking about therapy. He used to be a drug dealer in Brooklyn, and now he's talking about, the work he's done is phenomenal, by the way. If you look at where he was and where he is now, it's absolutely phenomenal. He's really stepped into this divine masculine energy, and he's saying, you know what? I was unfaithful, and here's why. Here's what was going on, and here's how I faced it and how I got through it. And he's doing miraculous work for other men who look up to him, other men who relate to him, who are able to see and say, you know what, that's awesome. I was watching some TV, what the hell was it? Was it like a Saturday Morning Kitchen or Sunday Morning Live, it's called, Sunday Morning Live on BBC. And I'd never watched it before, and they interviewed one of the guys from Run DMC, and I forget his name, I'm really sorry, I forget his name, but he said the words, he said, you know what, therapy is gangster. Therapy is really gangster. There's nothing more gangster than actually facing your own stuff. And the fact that there are people that are coming out and saying that to collectives of men and women who wouldn't have otherwise heard that message, right? So the reason I say that is to give an example. Like, we don't all have to be doing the same thing, but by speaking out and speaking our truth, the right people will find us and we'll help them in that way. So what is Twin Flame Mission? It's the work you came here to do, and it's something that it may be completely new after being through the Twin Flame journey, or it may be something that was kind of there already. It may be a talent that you've developed. You may be the most phenomenal artist, and maybe throughout the Twin Flame journey, you've created art, you've created words and poems and imagery and visual art, paintings and digital graphics and songs and dance. Maybe you're a singer, right? A lot of Twin Flames are highly creative. We're very dialed in and connected to source, and maybe that's what you're here to create for everyone, right? I watched a documentary last night called Amy, and it was about Amy Winehouse, who had Twin Flame energy. That guy Blake was not her Twin Flame, by the way. I'll probably do a post on this at some point because I feel very strongly about it. But just look at what she brought to the table, and look at the legacy she left behind, albeit very tragically, because her life was very short. But these people that are, perhaps they're twins, or perhaps they're just souls that have this message, but we're here to birth that. Whatever it is that is screaming inside of you, that is waiting to blast right out of you, it's time to unleash that, right? It's time to do the work that you came here to do. It ain't going to be easy, but if you love it, if you have this talent, this skill, this area you really want to talk about, just start. Just freaking start. Just make a video on it, write a post on it, create a graphic on it. Whatever your talent is, express it in that way and start getting it out into the world. If you go back a couple of years and watch some of my old videos, they're not that great, but and then I'll probably look back at these and think, I've come a long way. But that's what evolution is. That's what evolution and growth is. And it's really amazing to look back at previous photo shoots and videos and see how far you've come. That's a really beautiful thing. I once read, what you write today may what you write today may make you want to throw up tomorrow. I thought that was really funny. The art you create today may, you may look at that and go, yeah, okay. But just create, write songs, create art, dance, sing, whatever your talent is. Whatever you see as being an injustice, go fight that. Maybe it's animals, maybe it's an underserved area of the community. It could be, I don't know, it could be a particular religion that has a really, what's the word, a leadership that's out of integrity. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's nursing or midwifery, or I don't know, like it could be anything. There's so many things that it could be that you're here to do. Whatever it is that you're passionate about, it's going to be very different to what I'm passionate about. And I don't think for one second I'm always going to teach on twin flames. I believe it will be an aspect of what I teach on, but it will expand and grow and develop. I don't exactly know what that will look like. I have some ideas, I have some guidance, but it will evolve over time. And we think of purpose as this big thing that, we're going to do for the rest of our lives. But the way to start your purpose is to do what you feel called to do, and do that now. So do the thing that lights you up and do the thing that feels really good. And that might not be the same thing that you're doing next year, but it's the next step. We're not shown all the steps. My dad once said to me, my dad's so wise. He said, if you were to be given like this sheet with everything that was going to happen to you in your life, you'd be like, oh shit, like you'd be really overwhelmed. But when you face it one thing at a time, you're able to face the next thing because you get stronger and you learn lessons. So start doing the thing that you want to do. Just what's one thing today that you can do? What's one thing, and do that, and know that it will grow and develop over time. And maybe you're in a job right now that feels like it's not aligned at all, and maybe it's not, but perhaps there's a skill you're meant to learn there that will serve you in the future. For example, I worked in publicity for a long time. I was in a PR firm. I knew that it wasn't the place for me, but would I know how to do half of this stuff if it wasn't for having worked in PR? There are things that are so second nature to me and so natural that to other people, they just don't know how to do it. They haven't even thought of it. There's things I suggest that people are like, I didn't even know that was a thing, right? At college, I studied media production, so it was video production, editing. And then a couple of years back, I started to do videos, and I thought, can I remember how to edit? And I brought up iMovie on my then new MacBook, and I realized that it was different to Adobe or Final Cut Pro. Is it Final Cut Pro, an Adobe program? Whatever it was we used at college back in 2003. Like, we used to burn things on VHS. That's how long ago it was, 15 years ago. I'm in my 30s. I've seen some changes in technology, which is amazing actually. But yeah, when we were at college, we'd edit, and I realized I could remember how to edit. For years, I've been telling myself, wow, that was a waste of time at college. Why did I study media production? I don't know why I did that. But now I know how to produce things like this, right? And albeit, yeah, the production quality could be higher. But, to have that knowledge of how to do that is something that that's been really handy. The point is, it's not random, right? None of it's random. So start, just start, make a list of the things that you really love doing and that you're really passionate about, and that, you're probably multi-passionate like me. And that's cool too. But what do you feel really strongly about? If you were to get to the end of your life and someone was to say, the work you did in the world was this, you changed this, you moved the needle on this, it sounds a bit morbid, but like write an obituary for yourself, right? She did this. She was the author of 5 books. She was a pioneer in the area of blah, 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 right? What does that look like? Because at the end of the day, it's going to happen for all of us. None of us get out here alive, right? We're here to do the work while we're here. And what does that look like for you? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Right now we're getting into the really big stuff, right? And if that feels too big, then don't take that on board, but start doing something that you're passionate about. Again, it might not be teaching twin flames. There are a lot of twins that teach twin flames, but there's going to be a point when a lot of twins are really healed and they're already in their power, and then we're going to shift again and we're going to go into different areas of work, and that's all beautiful and perfect too. So I think that's everything I want to say on that. That was a lot. This is a long video, but this is important stuff. Your mission may be with your twin flame, or it may not be. You can start your mission without them. And what's really interesting is if this is your true twin flame, then they will recognize you even more when you step into your power, right? They might not know consciously why that is, but they'll be magnetically more drawn to you because they go, that's my divine feminine. That's my empress, right? That's my queen. That's the divine feminine power. They'll see that. So really, I mean, the fastest way to make your twin come back is to do your work and to step into your mission, right? And the irony of that is when you get to that place, it doesn't even matter whether they come back or not because you're in a good place. So that's all for today. That's all. Remember that the doors for Infinite Love open on August 15th. And if you join us before August 31st, then you are in with a chance of winning a one-on-one session with me valued at £150. And you have the chance to win that for free. There'll be one winner. And sessions with me are, if you're wondering like how it works and what it looks like, sessions with me are transformative. They're based in coaching. So a lot of people can slap on the title of coach. I studied coaching. I went to coaching school. I studied it for 6 months. I had got my 150 hours certification, which is affiliated with the ICF, the International Coaching Federation. And so what a lot of people don't understand about coaching is it's not consulting. Right, it's not consulting where you ask me a question and I give you the answer. It's about me empowering you to find the answers within yourself, right? It's easy in this position to say, I'm a healer. But that's one, incredibly arrogant, and two, not even accurate because you're a healer, right? You know how to heal yourself. You just need some guidance on what those steps are. And so it's not my job to heal you. It's my job to hold space. It's my job to put my shit over here in a box, close it away and put it away so that I can be really present with you and listen to you and ask you questions that challenge you to see things differently so you can shift and heal and ascend, right? But it's you that's doing the work. I can't do the work for you. What happens after the session? Yes, it's a 1 hour session. But what you're investing in is so much more than 1 hour. It's the transformation that happens afterwards. It's that clarity. It's knowing that your energy is shifted and that energy has got moving because we've talked it out. And what I do is not energy work. It's not energy healing per se, but it gets the energy moving because we're talking about it. And because of that, you start to see things differently and you start to shift. So it's so much more than just a 1 hour session. The transformation that happens is phenomenal. I had a client that worked with me who, through working with me and then through all of my meditations and the work that I do, this kind of free content, she ended up getting back with her twin like a couple of months later, right? And full credit to her, she did the work. I can't take credit for that, but it just goes to show when you do the work, miraculous things can happen. And 1 hour with me goes a long way. Right? Look how much you're gaining from these free videos. And so if you are in a position to invest in a one-on-one session, then I really, really encourage you to do that. We have shorter sessions as well. We can't go quite as deep in a shorter session, but you can have the opportunity to get clarity from that. So the details are always down below in the video description if you're watching on YouTube, and they'll be up top on Facebook if you're watching there. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. That's all I've got to say. Oh, if you do want to book a one-on-one session, by the way, follow-up sessions are £99 at the moment, but both have got to be booked and paid for before August 31st. I'll put the details for that down below. But basically, you've got to book and pay for both sessions before August 31st. But the second follow-up session doesn't have to be taken for another 12 months. So contact me if you have any questions on that. But really the main thing is Infinite Love. It's a really beautiful opportunity to join us. And it's really low cost too, so go check that out. And if you're going to join, you might as well join before the 31st because you have that chance to win a session with me. Okay? I keep saying that's all, but that really is all for now because I need to go film the meditation for this week. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of my experience and my reality and my journey. It's amazing, so thank you. If you want to find me on the various places on the internet, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, my handles are Cheryl J Muir, and I do lots of free content and talk about twin flames and the divine feminine. So go find that, and my website is cherylmuir.com. The details of how to work with me are always on my website. I'm sending you guys infinite love, and I will see you next week.